Patching is a headache for many organizations. We want to prevent 80% of hackers from breaking in. You don't just have to install patches, you also have to reboot the servers. You will need emergency patching about once a month. Even a single license can get you started with patching. Hi, this is Carsten from Hacking Matters, where each week we discuss the best practices in cybersecurity. Today we look at one of the 5 security processes, and that process is patching. Patching is a headache for many organizations, where you keep chasing the patches and they're released faster than you can install them, thereby spending a lot of time while not really reducing your risk very much. Today we look at how you can invest the time better to patch effectively. Let's remind ourselves of the goal of patching and the other security processes. We want to prevent 80% of hackers from breaking in, just 80% as we discussed in the cybersecurity funnel. But even 80% means that you have to have most patches installed most of the time, because each attacker will try all their exploits in their collection. And if even one of them works, they break in. In establishing effective patching, you go through 4 steps. First, you switch on auto patching wherever possible. That means for almost all of your systems, there will be patched automatically about once a month. For Windows, this is very easy. For Linux, it can be easy too. We'll discuss the details in a moment. You will exclude a few systems from auto patching in the beginning, the really mission-critical systems, where if anything goes wrong there, your business goes down. The technology leaders will not usually allow you to do auto patching on those from day one, but only with time will they have enough trust in the auto patching capabilities that the mission-critical systems also move into patching. Step 2, you establish emergency patching procedures. You will need emergency patching in cases where a vulnerability is actively being exploited and you want to install the patch right now and don't want to wait for the monthly standard patching cycle. Emergency patching is a mostly manual procedure because each case is slightly different, and be prepared to focus on that one vulnerability for a couple of days each month to patch it as quickly as possible. Third, your mission-critical systems, you might need to establish redundant environments, meaning there are 2 sets of servers running the exact same application, so that if you install a patch on one of those servers, and in a very unlikely but still possible case that something goes wrong, that server goes down, a second server can continue running the business. High availability is recommended anyway for redundancy and for disaster recovery. So chances are your mission critical systems are already high available, but in cases where they're not, patching requires high available system if you really want to guarantee that patching won't bring down your business. Step number 4, plan for reboots. You don't just have to install patches, you also have to reboot the servers for many of those patches to become effective. That actually is the more challenging part because it needs to be coordinated with your business. While the patch installation can be completely automated in almost all cases, the reboots need to be supervised and somebody from that technology team needs to look over the server to make sure that they're coming back okay. Let's dive into the 2 kinds of patching, automated and emergency patching, a little bit deeper to discuss some more nuances. And let's distinguish Windows and Linux. On Windows, you can just switch on auto patching. There's virtually no cases left where patches will bring down your applications. Microsoft is doing a terrific job testing against all kinds of applications, all the patches. Now this is assuming that you're running on a recent Windows version that's still under support. If you're running on something out of support, there's no patches anyway. But even emergency patches might break your applications. So do stay up to date, do stay within the life cycle of your operating system. That should go without saying. So Windows, you switch on auto patching, you're okay. On Linux, it might become a little bit more complex. There are Linux distros that are as well maintained as Windows, most notably RedHat, of course. And that's also the most popular one in the business context. And it makes sense to rely on RedHat testing against many applications to make sure that their patches do not break any functionality. Even on RedHat, however, do only automatically install security patches. If you install all the patches, that means some functional changes are happening as well. And RedHat makes it easy to distinguish that by just saying security patches only. And that way you make sure that the interface to these applications doesn't change. So there's no version jumps. Rather, only bugs are being removed through those security patches. So you don't have to stick with Red Hat. Other distros are closely following Red Hat, for instance, CentOS and the new Rocky OS, or have their own good patching and testing regimes. However, Red Hat is the established standard, and if your business is mostly running on Red Hat, try to encourage everybody to come over to Red Hat, at least for the critical applications, so that patching can happen with one process rather than fragmenting this across the different Linux distros. Keep in mind that Red Hat requires licenses for you to patch, unlike, for instance, CentOS and Rocky OS. And those licenses, of course, pay for all the testing that Red Hat does as a company. If you want to start quickly with Red Hat patching and don't have enough license to spare right now, even a single license can get you started with patching. You use that one license on the server that you set up as a mirror of the Red Hat repository, basically downloading all the available patches for Red Hat. And then you point all the other servers to that one server that has a patching repository to download the patches from there. So that's how you can get started. So that's automated patching. Easy on Windows, easy on Linux, specifically Red Hat as well, as long as you only install the security patches. Let's talk about emergency patching. The procedure that in complex IT environments you'll need about once per month if two things are true. You're using a technology that's exposed to the internet, and the vulnerability in that technology is actively being exploited from the internet. When those two things are true, you activate emergency patching, which basically just means finding as quickly as possible all the affected servers through a scan, then establishing a tracker, often just an Excel sheet, and individually working with all the affected teams to deploy patches as effectively ad hoc as possible. Finally, and don't forget this part, you need a mechanism to quickly rescan and rescan whether you're still affected, because it is hard to keep track of who installed which patch one. There can be misunderstandings. So have a procedure to quickly find where the patch is still missing. This can be your vulnerability scanner. But if you use a vulnerability scanner, make sure that only a single test is activated for each of those scans so that they can run quicker. Or you just run some script that you can usually find on Twitter, often Nmap scripts, around the time of an incident. Many researchers are creating those scripts for you to quickly run a scan on a set of IP addresses. Each case of emergency patching will be slightly different, so do rely on your sysadmin's expertise in getting those patches as effectively as possible onto the servers. You'll mostly rely on Excel to document everything, and basically a team chat with all the technology teams to quickly exchange updates as they come in. So yeah, that's emergency patching. Often a stressful exercise, but over time, something that just becomes routine. Reserve some 1 or 2 days per month that you'll need ad hoc to drive this process. Hopefully these thoughts help you make patching less of a headache. Using a combination of automated patching to patch almost everything, and an emergency patching to go in very quickly and remove actively exploited vulnerabilities from your internet exposure. Using that combination, you should be okay, and definitely at the 80% level that we're targeting in the cybersecurity cycle. If you haven't watched it yet, maybe you're interested in the video about the 5 security baseline processes, of which patching was one. We also have videos on the other baseline security processes, namely hardening, identity management, vulnerability management, and backup and recovery. If you're interested in any other topics or have any feedback, please comment below. Until then, happy hacking.